Hi, welcome back to the foundation course on communication and soft skills with a special emphasis on the interview skills that we are dealing with today. We started with role play, debate and group discussion is something we want to talk extensively now. Basically these modules are categorized under speaking skills. So we started speaking skills like day before yesterday's session. We focused on interview skills precisely, where we spoke about the do's and don'ts, who is an interviewer, how is the process, and then we discussed and emphasized on these three terminologies. So with no further ado, let's straight go ahead and discover what is group discussion all about and why is it important and why are we actually undergoing this as a session. So group discussion is important for not just reasoning behind it, is to understand the pattern of how a group discussion works in an interview, but also to understand the fact there's a methodology, there's a structure that you're supposed to use, and why this structure is equally important to understand. So group discussion, there's a certain methodology that goes into it. And what is group discussion, by the way, before we actually move on to understand this? So methodology, before we get into the methodology, let's understand the word group discussion. Let's break the word and understand this. Group of people discussing a common topic, about a common goal, about a common vision, that is talking about a specific communication, that is talking about specific topic, and categorization is nothing but group discussion. One of the looked upon interview process in many IT organizations, in many interview processes, to filter the not so great people in terms of communication. So it's very important that I understand group discussion in specific. So moving on to understand what are the components of group discussion. Personality, manifestation, that is you talk a little bit about yourself, little introduction. Then we move on to talk about communication skill with knowledge and leadership. Well, leadership is a very, not so relatable term for many, because for simple reason we all think leaders are people with high caliber. Leaders are only that recognized politicians. No, not necessarily. Leadership all starts from our mind. Leadership can move on from an attitude to an emotion. So you just have to remember the fact that even in group discussion, the people who are selected are people who are attributing themselves as leaders. That is, while a group discussion topic is being given to us in a group and I take the initiative, I start the conversation, I am nothing but setting aside the rest of people and I am setting towards being a leader for that particular discussion. So that is where the whole point arises, that leadership equally plays an important role here in a group discussion. The role players, positive and negative triads, that is why it is important that I have to talk positive and negative connotation to the topic. So group discussion concept, it's all started with the fact to interview people, to filter out the wrong resources, to filter out the best people, again to check on your creativity, your thinking, your decision making and problem solving skills. How would you behave in that particular situation? How would you speak? How would you react? And what would your thoughts be, and how would you organize your thoughts? All these things categorize into one word, and that is nothing but your group discussion. So GD is widely used as a variant of personality test for evaluating several candidates simultaneously. That is when you have bulk of people to interview. In fact, it helps to shortlist candidates for the final interview. So do you understand how important and imperative it is for all of us to prepare, rehearse and then give this well. Public speaking, here the audience merely judges a speaker without competing with him. It listens to what the speaker says but does not discuss the subject simultaneously with the speaker. So get this very clear, public speaking skills plays a very important role in all these three terminologies that we've discussed today, that is role play, debate and group discussion. Debate, a chairman presides over a debate, giving it a shape of conversation and direction. The speakers are normally divided into two groups, one speaking for the motion and other speaking against the topic. So this is all part of your interview discussions. Components of personal manifestation. So let's look at the slide to understand this more in terms of relating it to the topic. So we have already discussed a few terminologies in this, that is tone and voice, dress, body language, and certain mannerism. So guys, understand the fact, though we are in group discussion, these personal manifestation, that is personal niceties, very minute things can also be observed in group discussion, though it is not a one-to-one discussion that is being staged. So first is your dress, that is a formal official dress that is supposed to be followed and that is supposed to be worn for an interview. Body language, in terms of body language, your postures, your gestures, and as well as your positive body language frame is important. And then we have tone and voice. Tone is nothing but your emotion, and voice is your decibel level, that is how high your voice is and how low your voice is depends on your conversation. Then comes your manners, which is to do with your how you behave, how you actually project yourself in the group discussion. Let's look at the most important aspect of all your interview stages. It's your communication skill. Effective communication is a salient feature of your group discussion. An idea can be appreciated only when it is expressed effectively. A leader, an administrator or manager or an erudite scholar must possess the skills to put across an idea in the clearest form. Now this is where the whole issue arises, when we are not able to communicate well and we have all sort of knowledge, skill sets and technical information in our head, but understand it's the eloquence and the effectiveness that can get you a job and an offer letter. So keep this in mind. And the other component to remember under GD is the knowledge. So how do I gain knowledge? Like in the previous video session, we have discussed on topics such as demonetization, globalization, global warming. So in case you were never familiar with these words, it's very difficult to get your thoughts out. It's very difficult to get the conversation to the listeners in a structured manner. So it's very important that we start reading. It's very important that we structure our conversation and make it more presentable. So what does this slide says? So in a GD, knowledge of the subject concerned backed by the common sense will help you deal with any situation and win laurels. The greater your knowledge of the subjects, the more interested, enthusiastic and confident will you be, and more fluent and forceful would be your speech and contribution to the discussion. Simple. Word by word, everything which is being displayed here is important, and if we follow this, that's it, success is at your feet. Component of leadership, man is a gregarious person by nature. He cannot normally live alone, he lives in a group, whatever its size and name. The success of the group depends to a large extent on its leader. So to keep in mind the great man approach. Effective leadership can be learnt by making study of the lives of great people. So people in public areas, people in political arena, people at an organization level who have made and believed that it's because of leadership that the organization is able to move and grow further, are the set of people whom we all have to admire and get the inputs from. So let's look at this for an explanation sake. Leaders such as Steve Jobs, leaders such as Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg for that matter, they have made a tremendous improvement and difference in how leadership looks today and what is leadership all about. So we all have to read about them, admire them in order to get the information. So what is a leader behavior approach? The main emphasis is not on who is the leader, but on what a leader does. Leadership behavior includes making decisions, giving directions, showing identity with the group and loyalty to the organization. So get this up. This last block is very important for us to understand why we're getting the word leadership here into the picture of group discussion. So let's look at the functional ability. Let's look at the board right now to get this up. So leadership as a skill. Understand it is a skill. And the components or basic functional ability of a leader is the leader should have knowledge, leader should be passionate, and then leaders should have high energy, and leaders should have abnormal levels of passion, emotional ability again, and then we talk about empathy, communication skill, integrity, last but not the least is integrity. Most important value of a human is integrity. Okay, coordinating ability as a leader is equally important too, able to motivate and influence others. It is not always an inborn trait, but we can actually acquire this and develop it with a lot of social adaptability, motivation, and with a lot of practice, by the way. So the role players, that is in the debates, there are a lot of people who act as one of these. Let's look at the slide right now. Initiator, illustrator, informer. So I want you guys to look up to this slide for about a moment or two to understand and relate to these terminologies. Okay, initiator is a candidate who initiate the process of discussion. So basically this person guides the entire group in the way to begin and complete the discussion process. And then we have an illustrator, a good participant who can elaborate and clarify the most important points. And then we have somebody who can focus on just not good participation, but also the focus is also on general knowledge, required information that is on a specific given topic. Coordinator, a good participant must be able to bring the members of the group to some kind of agreement in a discussion, and again most important is in a disciplined manner. He must also gather the divergent points raised by different participants and relate them to the given topic. Orienter, a candidate who possesses leadership attributes, keeps the group directed towards the goal. He displays his skills of organization through the specific role. Such a candidate has the potential for helping to run an organization. Okay. Now this is equally important for all of us to understand. Personality, communication, skill, knowledge and leadership are your all positive triads. That is your positive personality, your effective communication skill, your knowledge levels and your leadership quality. Smartness, fluency, depth, initiative, and then we have cheerfulness, clarity, range, tolerance, enthusiasm, logicality, analytical ability, team spirit, keenness, coherence, coordination of thoughts, perseverance or persiveness, curiosity, effectiveness and decisiveness with flexibility. So please keep these words in mind. It's important that you understand that these qualities can certainly make you an effective speaker and help you clear your group discussion. So once again, look at these qualities. It can help you to get things up. Okay. So moving on, negative triads, this is something on no, that is, you're not supposed to follow this. Shyness, incoherence, ignorance, intolerance, sluggishness, muteness, lack of ideas, unfriendliness, diffidence, fumbling, superficiality, selfishness, timidity, aggressiveness, mental poverty, rigidity, rudeness and indifference, amorphous and vagueness, lack of analytical ability, indecisiveness and isolation. So please see to that we do not fall in any of these word category, because it's not going to help us clear our interview and group discussion. So how do I succeed in GD now? So let's look at, I want you guys to concentrate on board to understand this. The specific steps that you're supposed to follow in order to succeed in your group discussion. So first is your being assertive. And then is a patient listener. The other thing to keep in mind is right language, that is appropriate language used. And then we have be analytical and fact oriented. Keep this in mind. So first one to talk about be assertive or being assertive. An assertive person is direct and honest and careful about not hurting others' sentiments and feelings. So basically you end up not just having a self-respect for your own self, but you also respect the opinions of the others. Your eye contact is means of expressing your sincerity. Well, an erect body posture and direct body positioning may increase the impact of the message. So do you understand why body language plays this important role? A patient listener, now going to the second point. Who is a patient listener? Listening to another person is one way of showing appreciation. So get this very clear. Each time I follow this rule of being a great listener, I'm nothing but gaining my trust and relationship with this particular person. Like you want to be heard, the other person would like to be heard as well. So be careful next time when you're listening, you are actually building that trust and relationship with the person. So it is very critical that we do it very honestly and sincerely. The right language, well, there's nothing right or wrong, but certainly there is something called accurate and appropriate language skills. Words can make friends and enemies of men. It is possible to disagree without sounding rude or losing one's temper. it is certainly possible to disagree without being rude. So get this very clear. Next time when I'm using my skills to debate with somebody, when I'm giving my own opinions, it is important that it is possible to disagree with a person without sounding rude or losing one's temper. Next, be analytical and fact oriented. It is necessary to make relevant points which can be supportive with facts and analyzed logically. Vague arguments do not hold good in GD. So like I said, vague and generalized arguments are total no-no each time when I am accepting this as a fact, or for that matter a rule to clear my discussions or to clear my group discussion. Next thing to keep in mind is accept criticism. Going forward we can mention these points later. The criticism must be viewed positively, and if it carries weight, the person making the point must be appreciated and thanked. In case the criticism is flimsy, the same can be pointed out politely. So there you go. Maximize participation. Thus, one must try to contribute fully, vigorously and steadily throughout the discussion. Silence may indicate lack of initiative, information and communication skill. So understand why it is important that I communicate at the right time and every time. Respect other speakers. It is impolite to laugh at other participants in group discussion and comment on the ignorance and inability. A good candidate always encourages the other members of this group without making fun of their feelings. So be extra vigilant. Show leadership ability. Leadership is the ability to persuade others to seek defined objectives enthusiastically. It is the human factor that binds a group together and motivates it towards a goal. Leadership transforms the potential into real. Be precise. It is important to express yourself precisely and exactly without beating about the bush or being verbose as a GD takes place in the given time. Let's look at the slide to understand this better. Okay. So I want you guys to read that up. Okay, let's move on to the topic in general with group discussion as general pointers. Focused preparation, that is proper planning and rehearse technique can help you clear the group discussion. Mock GD, that is how you prepare and get few rehearsal tests from your seniors or anybody that you look up to. Rules to follow in a GD, list of skills assessed during a GD process, important tips for GD. So keep these pointers up. Focused preparation, developing a power of conviction and expression. That is, it is important to display abundant confidence in your personality. Like we've discussed, fluency in spoken English is a must. Develop a good grasp over general awareness, as most JD topics are based on current issues. Keeping track of political and business events as that happen every day is critical in this endeavor. Okay, now let's focus on the discussion. So the discussion that I'm going to talk about today is type on internet and check what are the common JD topics asked in recent interviews. What are the common JD topics asked in interviews by Accenture, Wipro or any organization that you're applying for. Maybe you can buy few books which are available in the market and also read newspapers daily to get the information out while you are preparing or in the stages of preparation. So that's something to keep in mind. Mock GD is important. The best practice sessions are your mock sessions because there's so much of learning and evaluation that happens. At least once every week, meet up with peers aspiring to make your B schools and organize discussion sessions. Choose a topic from amongst the leading headlines for the week and the time. The sessions over 30 minutes. Allow all in the group to speak for about 5 minutes to collect the ideas individually. Nominate an observer to give feedback. Mock discussions will build a lot of confidence. So this is great learning. General awareness about GD. Most discussion topics relate to current issues. So see to that you scan newspapers, news channels each time when you're preparing. Examiners prefer giving topics on burning issues. Be thorough with the Indian and world economy. The process of liberalization, social issues and even political headlines at times come to the fore. Following events as they happen may not be an easy task, but with consistent efforts, one is bound to succeed. So that's the happy news, that you can succeed provided you put in your effort. Rules to follow in a GD. While participating in a group discussion, try to be amongst the first 3 to speak. That is, while you're initiating the discussion, you have to be amongst the first, second or third person, otherwise the attention span of the interviewer fades away. Do not try to hog the limelight by not allowing others to speak, would earn negative points. During the discussion, do not try to pull your peers down by raising your voice. Instead, enter into a healthy argument within the group if you disagree with someone else's opinion. Have an opinion and substantiate with reasons. That is, each time when giving a reason, or rather giving out certain facts and statistics, you have to give out reasoning behind it. Sometimes each candidate is asked to sum up the discussion briefly, so be prepared. Maybe you might not be the person who would conclude the topic, but you will be asked to conclude, or you can go ahead and conclude the topic by yourself. List of skills assessed during the GD process. Now this is something I want you guys to focus on, this slide, and understand, make a note of this. Leadership skills, communication skills, interpersonal skills, persuasive skills, problem solving skills, conceptualization skills, probable topics. So keep these things in mind. Leadership as a skill, communication effectiveness, your people management, how you manage the group and not being direct and not being hurtful to the other participants. How do you persuade somebody? How do you convince the person to get your thoughts accepted by him or her? Problem solving, how better are you at crisis management? How well can you manage stress and crisis? Conceptualization, that is, your probable topics are all done and practiced well. Important tips for GD: be as natural as possible. Take time to think of what you're going to say. If allowed, then jot down your thoughts. In case of doubt, ask for clarification. Don't start speaking until you have been clearly understood and analyzed the subject. Work out various strategies to help you make an entry. Give valuable insights during the discussion. Language skills are important only to the effect as to how you get your points clearly and fluently. Be assertive and dominating. Always be polite. Brush up your leadership skills. Motivate the other members to speak. Listen to the views and be receptive to others' opinions. Guys, be very careful. This is one of the most important slide of the day before we call it a day and we end the session on group discussion. Make a note of it. Give thought to every sentence which has been mentioned here. Start off by being as natural as possible. Then brush up on most important topics, things that you're supposed to remember on, and then look at the other topics, other points, work out various strategies and techniques, then talk about language skills to your own self while you're preparing and rehearsing. In case of doubt, ask, seek out for clarification. Always be polite. Brush up your leadership skills, motivate the other members to speak. Listen to their views, be receptive for the views as well. So that's it. Only thing to remember right now is let's conclude and summarize to what we have learned. So in the earlier video session, we started with speaking skills 2 as a topic. We spoke about interview skills. We spoke under interview skills for today. We spoke on role play, debate and group discussion. We have also discussed why these 3 topics are important under interview preparation and how are these technically different though they're categorically same. Why it is important that I should understand the do's and don'ts, and why do I understand them in detail in order to perform well, because this is totally linked to my performance, knowing these topics in general. So I'd like to conclude that be it debate, role play or group discussion, the moment the topic is being given, we all have this tendency to jump into emotions and share something that comes to my mind. Well, it is nice as you know, you would be labeled as an initiator, but however, take a step back, analyze the topic, take a deep breath, and only when you're confident about, start with your mind map technique. Start giving your thoughts to your own self, to your mind, and then give it out publicly, because everything that you speak is documented. It can go for you, it can go against for you. Thank you for watching, and we wish you all the luck in case you're preparing in the stages of your preparation and you would be taking the interview process soon. We would be keen to understand what is that has helped you during this video series that we have been conducting. Any specific questions, you're free to write in the comment box below and allow us a chance to serve you better. Happy learning.